And also I know, a few people will be getting the replays as well. So it's, they signed up, but they won't be able to be here. So that's okay. Hi, replay people. And that is fine. So no problem. You can leave whenever you want because you will receive the replay. So,
Great.
okay. Well, I'm going to just get started and walk us through what's going to happen today, the sort of welcome everyone, and let you know kind of how this came about and what the purpose is and hopefully how it can help everyone. So, first, I just want to say hello and say to those people who don't know me as well, most people on this call or who will see this call are current clients of mine. So they know that I'm an artist, I'm a certified life coach, and but some people who are not clients, who are sort of considering to become clients and come on with me, I have invited so they can get a taste of what you guys are doing. And so a little bit of that is just to let people know who I am and who you all are. So my background is that I have been a marketing professional and a writer for many years, and then sort of changed my life when I turned 50 and started making art. And then as I was starting to make art, I realized that my past life as a marketer can really help my friends and myself as I move forward into making art and then considering to market and sell that art or to create a career, a business around myself, my art, my creative process. So that's a little bit about me. And like I said, most of the people here are either current Metaphor Mindset Studio members, which means that you're getting one-on-one coaching, or you have in the past. And then also I've recently added the Art Business Circle community, which is easily, it's accessible through the portal of Metaphor Mindset Studio. So I actually will show that and how to access that during this event today. So everyone's kind of on the same page if you haven't gone there yet, and let you know how that works. Okay, so I have my little list and agenda, and I just want to make sure I'm touching all the points. So now I think that one thing that I do want to make a point about is that most people who come to me as artists and who want, coaching and want to be artists and make money from their art or learn how to do that have a couple of things in common. And what it is usually, and I would love for you to share this as we go through here. Feel free to put anything in the chat to sort of like just put down what you are feeling or thinking as we go along. But many people, many artists or creative entrepreneurs who are going into creating a business, they have the thought, business is hard, I don't know what to do, or technology is hard. And even those who are actually in business and have done business before, the idea is a lot of the thoughts that people are having are, business is different when you're trying to do a creative business. Hi, Winnie. Hi, Layla. Welcome. I am just getting started to just welcome everyone. And I want to let you know what we'll be doing today. First, I'm going to do a little intro and then a short training, and then we're going to do some group coaching. So if you can see me speaking, then it's probably best you put your view on speaker view and that you mute yourself. So you mute yourself on the screen so people can't hear the background information. So I really appreciate that. And I think, yeah, almost everyone is muted, but if you're not, that's fine. We will I can also mute people if, things come up that we're not aware of, like somebody's dog starts barking or whatever. But that's all fine. Okay. So today, this is how we'll work today. First, I want to encourage you to put questions in the chat, and I will kind of address them at the end. I don't necessarily during the training portion want to be going back and forth to the chat with questions, but I will address those at the end. And then also, again, there will be a replay of this whole training and coaching training part. The coaching, depending on how personal it gets, I may not share that with everyone. I will ask you first if you're willing to share that experience with others if you get coached, because sometimes, the coaching part can be quite personal. It can delve into areas that, we all feel, but you may not want to share that with everyone in the world. However, I feel like in this community experience, we can learn as much from group coaching as we can from one-on-one coaching, because what happens is you see that other people are going through the same things that you're going through. And that's been really helpful to me to watch replays of group coaching with my coaches and with other artists that are doing kind of things similar to what we're doing. So the training itself will be about 15 minutes. And then I would like to do some one-on-one coaching in front of this group with people. So if you have questions or thoughts or things that are really kind of holding you back or that come up during the training, I would love to talk to you one-on-one about that and go through that process. Okay. And then at the end, for some people who may not be in Metaphor Mindset Studio right now or not getting one-on-one coaching right now, and that's that service that I have, or are a member but haven't joined the Art Business Circle community yet, I'm going to walk through that as well. So I just want to be clear on that. Okay. So now, first, I'd like everyone to put into the chat what type of art or what type of creative entrepreneurship you do. So I have people here from, and also where you're from. So we did a little bit of that at the beginning, but now we have a few more people on. So put in where you're from, what kind of art you do, or what kind of business you have. And I know for some people, that's a long list because artists, we all do a lot of different things. So I'm waiting. You can just type that into the chat. And I have people from San Juan Island. Okay, so first Winnie from Friday Harbor. Winnie paints and she's moving into jewelry. And she also is a parfumier, which is an amazing skill and art in itself, as I've learned as I've got to know Winnie. Greg is from Carbondale, but also New York City, Long Island, and he's traveled a lot over the world. He's a photographer and he does amazing videos. He just went on a comedy tour with 2 comics and he's creating a video around that tour, which is really amazing to see that start to happen. Okay, let's see who else. Wendy is a jeweler, a gemologist. She specializes in antique jewelry, writing about it, assessing it. And so she has a business where she's making jewelry, but also assessing other people's jewelry and telling them about their antique or vintage jewelry. Lauren is retired and he is a collage artist and painter. He lives in Tucson. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Not New Mexico. He also has a really amusing and wonderful newsletter, which comes out. So I would actually really encourage you guys to also put up your links here. Okay. Put up your website, put up your links to sort of, so we can find each other. And Lauren just had a great blog post and newsletter about how to look at art and not feel dumb. And it's from a book that he's been reading. So it's been really fun to read that. Layla is from Jackson, Mississippi, right? Layla? And you're a painter, mixed media, fiber artist, bookbinding, and digital art. Wonderful. And I don't know as much about Layla, but I've sort of seen you a little bit. So, like I said, there's this list of all these different things we do. I'm an oil painter, but I'm really now going into some mixed media and learning acrylics, which is usually the opposite, the other way around, where oil paint seems hard to people. But to me, acrylics is interesting. It dries so fast that I have to like work a lot faster, but it's fun that way. Okay, great. So thank you so much for sharing. And as you know, I'm from Friday Harbor, but now I'm in Carbondale, Illinois at Southern Illinois University getting an MFA in painting. And then also, I'm an art and business coach. I help artists create businesses. I'm a certified life coach. And also, that is so much about, of what we are going to talk about today, about how to think about your business. And I have created my program, but recently I wanted to share with you this transition of just kind of putting up a few modules here and there and learning how to coach people on their thoughts. And this process of kind of coming to understand how business works and creating my own business and all of these things over the last 3.5 years, to now really understanding and creating for myself and my clients more of a process around all of this. So that's what I want to share with you today is my 5-step process around creating a business and creativity, or any business and your art. So one thing I want to sort of keep in mind is that as you see what I'm doing and as you see me learn, I love your feedback. I want to know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you need to know, what you want to know, what your biggest issues are and problems, so I can set out then to help you and solve some of those for you. And of course, through coaching, we can solve those together for you. Okay, so I'm going to start the training and I'm going to stand up here with my handy dandy easel. And I found that I've used slides. I've also used this easel, and I do like kind of this live coaching feeling to this. So what I'm going to do first is start at the beginning here and share with you my 5 steps to inspire your creative life and your business. So the idea of 5 steps is really interesting. When we have a process, our brain says, oh, I kind of know where I'm going. I have a map. I have an understanding of when I get to 5, I will know something. I will be in a different place. So that 3 steps or 5 steps is really about understanding how our brain works and understanding what our brain wants in order to get somewhere and feel safe and feel like we've made progress and so on. So that's part of what I'm doing here is kind of, you can see about like for yourself, when you're learning something, I have 3 steps, I have 5 steps, I can create a process for myself. And it helps us have a feeling of safety and that we know that we're getting somewhere rather than just kind of going all over the place. Okay, so the first step is artist know thyself. So if you're in Metaphor Mindset Studio or you've worked with me before, this is a huge part of what we do. As this comes from, physician heal thyself. And also know thyself was a tagline, was a little phrase in ancient Greece when people would go to the oracles or go to these temples. There was the Temple of Delphi had know thyself above the door. So it was very interesting to think about in terms of to become a human, to become an evolved human, knowing ourselves, and especially as artists, is really important. So when I work with you, we come to know your brain a little better. We come to know your emotions a little better, and also how your thoughts and emotions are connected. And then also we turn that into action. So I do a couple of different assessments with clients, and some of you have done this already and some of you haven't, but I do the Enneagram, which is a heart process. There are sort of three ways of knowing the mind, right? One is the cognitive. So an IQ test would tell us how much we know, how we learn, how we think. The affective tests are the emotional tests, the Enneagram or the Myers-Briggs. And those are about personality, emotional patterns that we've developed over our time. A lot of artists get the helper in the Enneagram. And a lot of women also have the helper because we've evolved these processes of being trained and, to help, to be of service. So it's really interesting to see when those patterns work for us and when those patterns don't work for us in our business and our art. So we come to understand those deeply. And then the third one is the conative, or CONATIV. And that's how you work with your body and with your mind when you're working. So how you handle information, risk, systems, risk, and tangibles. And this comes from a test that I do called the Kolbe A Index, KOLBE. So it's fascinating to see how you work if you need lots of information. And I know a couple of artists here are high on information. They need to research. They need to find all the out they can. They need to go down the rabbit holes. Some artists actually here aren't. They're what you might call a bottom liner. They don't need a lot of information before they start something. They kind of figure it out as they go. So this is a really interesting process to go through with yourself. And I really encourage writing in your journal regularly, looking at your thoughts and understanding these three parts of yourself as an artist. So this is a little bit also what is useful here. Every time we start a new project, or something that we're working on, I like to think in terms of myself now and my future self. So right now, you're an artist. We have current thoughts about what we're doing with our art or business, etc. You may have some challenges, and you may be thinking about what I've tried so far that has worked or not worked. And then you may have obstacles and struggles that keep coming up. And those are sort of part of your emotional patterns. So I would love for you to put in the chat right now, what do you think is one part of your personality or your thought patterns that you feel over time has held you back or is currently kind of holding you back? So that can be, I don't like to get up early, or I like to work, I don't like to stay up late. I can't work at night. I can't work in the morning. I don't know. They can be lots of different things. Or I don't believe in my work, or I have imposter syndrome, or, it's all scattered. I'm doing too many things at once. I can't focus on one thing, right? These are those current thoughts that are kind of always there. So let me just see what anyone has put in the chat. Okay, all or nothing. Yes, all or nothing thinking is a huge thought error or thought pattern that keeps us sort of being sometimes thinking about oh, I can't do that. I have to dive in. I have to make this perfect, or I have to do all the research, or I have to do all the branding before I even put this product out, or I have to finish this painting to be perfect. I have to have a body of work for 20 pieces or nothing, or no one's going to like what I do, right? So it's that all or nothing thinking often does that. Okay, I'm at a forever deficit because I never got an MFA. Okay, yes, education, totally. Comparing that to other people and, thinking about other people out there in the world. I get bored quickly and don't necessarily follow through to completion. Totally true. This is, remember when I said the conative test, this is the characteristic of a quick start. In your risk category, you don't mind diving in, but you get bored. You want to dive in continually. And so what I'm here to tell you is that's not wrong. None of this is wrong. None of what you're doing is wrong. It's just, how do you work with it? How do you work with your patterns, your co-native abilities, your, ways of working to make it work for you? So that's one of those sort of interesting now thoughts, that we sometimes turn our abilities and our gifts into obstacles. So it may be a wonderful gift that you love to go down rabbit holes, right, Lauren? And, find all the information, because that is going to really serve you later on. So when you can sort of take those obstacles and turn them into, understand the gifts of those, then that's when it can kind of help expand what you're doing. Okay, so then the future you, thinking about the future version of me, the future version of you who has what you want, who is living the dream that you're looking for right now, whether that's a gallery show or having an installation in a museum or having a product that's successful or selling a company or creating a body of work or creating, a new class online so you can gain income from that or whatever it is. That person already knows the answers. We're not there yet, but that person already knows the answers. So when we think from the future and think, what would that person do? Then we can create some intentional thoughts around that. And that is what we call thought work or play, the bridge between our current thoughts and our thinking from the future. Okay. So next, that's step one. And that's a lot. That's a lot. But that's about understanding ourselves. Step two is building belief and managing your mind. So in order to have a business or a creative, process that works, I'm thinking in terms of believing in yourself, believing in your, let's put yourself down here, believing in yourself, believing in your art, and believing in your clients. Believing that they want what you have, believing that what you have is valuable, believing in the piece, the thing itself, that it is the right thing at the right time for you right now. Okay, so that's step two, building belief and managing your mind. So thought work can come into this as well. So notice the first two steps are all about the brain and understanding ourselves and then really working on building that belief in ourselves. Step three is then understanding your value. So we may, when we have these gifts like, oh, I love information, I go down rabbit holes, or I like to start things quickly and I then like to just start new things all the time. And then instead of thinking that that's a negative, when we start to understand that as a value, then we can start to create different things in a different process in our creative process that creates value for ourselves and for others. If you start things really quickly and you work really quickly, I have that issue. I'm a quick start. And I'm starting to realize that that's not a negative. I used to think, why can't I just finish this painting and take a long time like a lot of other people do and work on it for like 3 days? But no, I want to finish a painting in like 1 day and that's it. I may not like it. I may go on to another one, but I'm learning as I go. And so the more I make, the more I can keep, the more I can move forward. So that's kind of understanding my value. And this is a process of really understanding who you are and then what you can bring to the world. Okay, then building and communicating your value. So taking the things that you've learned and then communicating that to other people. And this is, so in Metaphor Mindset Studio, under each one of these steps, we have these little modules that kind of walk us through each thing. And some of you have taken and looked at my 4 hats of the artist in business class. This is an interesting case. When I first started to teach, I created like, oh, how can I help my friends understand business? I'm going to make this super simple thing what are all the hats that you wear in business, and how can you understand business that way? And so literally, hat one is the creator hat, the little beret. Hat two is the leader hat, the top hat, the mayor in front of the town or the CEO. Hat three is the hard hat. You're in the ditches, you're in the trenches, you're doing your finances and your operations. And is hat four is your promoter hat. It's the party hat. It's building relationships. When I first created that course, I didn't understand my value. I thought, that's a childish class. That's so simple. Everybody knows that. Or it's so easy. People are going to think it's dumb. Then I started teaching it, and I taught it to people at an art school. I taught it to my local friends at Atelier. I taught it at an annual event. I taught it, to my clients. And then I created a kind of a signature training out of it, like a little free class, which is on my homepage. But what happened was I started to understand the value of the simplicity. And I started to build that value and communicate it with others. So sometimes we can't communicate the value and build the value and really understand that until we understand that value ourselves. So you may have a piece of your work or a part of your work that you really don't understand how valuable that is. And how can you build and communicate that value if you don't understand it? So one thing I do suggest is writing in your journal, again, the journal, and I'm just looking for my journal. It's always with me. What your value is and how to understand your value. So what is the thing that you do? What do you offer people? What is your art like? Does it create fun in their lives? Does it create color in their lives? Does it create beauty in their lives? Does it create a personal transformation for them in their home? And really like list these things out so you can understand them. And then so you can sort of build that into how you communicate your value. So we work on that. And again, I break down the 4 hats in Metaphor Mindset Studio of each hat has a lot to it, right? The simple class is the real basics, but then you can go deeper into each one as you're understanding, building, and communicating your value. And this 5 steps works for any business. This is for rich people who have, $1 million businesses, or for simple artists who just want to sell some art and really have a creative life where they love their life and they get to engage with the people that they sell their art to or put in museums, put in galleries. They get to set more goals that are going to take them further in their career or in their business. And step 5 is learning how to make offers and make impact. So it's interesting to think about that making an offer, or here is my painting. Would you like to sell it? Would you like to sell it? Would you like to buy it? That is making an offer. And this is how much it is, right? This is an offer. But also at the same time, that is also making impact. I'm offering this painting so you can have this transformation in your home. So you can have this beautiful thing to look at every day. So you can experience this show, this new product, perfume, this video, this photograph, this wood chair. I have a worker who's a client, Matt O'Brien, who used to work in corporate America. And for years, he wanted to be an artist and sort of become a craftsman. And he's finally done that, and he's doing that. So it's really interesting to see him start to make offers and kind of go back into the corporate world and make connections in what all of the things that he used to do there and apply that to what he's doing here. The impact he's making now with his rocking chairs are, in a sense, deeper. A mother with their child and rocking in this heirloom chair is going to be in the family for years, right? So understanding what impact you're making. And not just keeping that to yourself, but realizing all artists want to make impact. And we have this belief that art changes lives. Art has changed our lives, and art has changed other people's lives. So as we make our offers, we're also making that impact. And that's a cycle of these 5 steps that continues to turn, because then we get to know ourselves better. Then by doing this, we build belief and we manage our mind better. Then we understand our value more as we make offers. We realize, oh, people like what I'm doing. I'm understanding what they like, what I like, what I want to make. And then you build and communicate your value. Then you make offers and you make more impact. Okay, so now I'm going to end. So we'll end that training for now. And first, I would love to hear any quick questions, and then I would love to do some coaching. So if you would like to be coached, you can raise your hand. And there's, I think, a little in the reaction, there's a little heart and it says react. I believe that you can raise your hand. So if you want to come on screen with me and get coached on anything that we've talked about or anything you're working through, raise your hand. And if no one does, then I may call on somebody. But I'm going to go back to the questions a little bit for a second. I can't work on a schedule. Oh, that's such a good one. And we see that as a deficit, right? Where it might be that it's a value. Lisa, okay, wonderful. So Lisa came on. Lisa also lives on San Juan Island. Lisa is an amazing painter. Hello, Lisa. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to change my view so we can see multi-speaker, so we can see everybody. I think you all can change your own view. Let me just get adjusted here. Okay, Lisa, tell me what you would like to get some coaching on today. What are you thinking?
Okay, first I want to tell you I had a big insight with just what you said in the 15 minutes I've been on this call. And sorry I was late. But I'd like to go deeper with this idea. Okay, so I can't work on a schedule, limiting belief, right?
Okay.
Okay,
So go ahead.
let me tell you the insight I had around that, because it's kind of interesting. And it didn't occur to me to see that as a positive thing. Because so many of my artist friends have these really strict schedules and they're really good and they stick to it. And I try so hard, as you well know, and I just can't stick to a schedule. So anyways, I was like, okay, well, what's that about? Can I see that as a positive? Okay, yes, I can work any time of the day or night. And I've set up my life so that I can do that. And then if that's to translate into my work, I see the value in that is that it actually is the way I like to work. I like to not plan a painting, right? Like I like to be in this moment and use everything that's around me to inform me about what I'm going to paint or what I am painting. I don't know. I just get very present and I paint. And what I like about that I see people who enjoy my work seem to value and get, is that one of my paintings changes every day depending on their perspective in the moment. So they're looking at a painting and they see a new thing in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
you just helped me see the value in that. Okay, I still have a limiting belief that I need some help with, and that is I need more moments that I am painting.
Okay.
And so I do.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to use this a little bit just to show kind of what we're working through with Lisa. Okay. It may be easier for me to do it this way. Okay. So the circumstance here, and I'm going to use the model. Okay. Some of you have experienced this with me. This is the self-coaching model. This is one of the tools that I use in coaching that I learned through my life coach certification with the life coach school. Okay. And that's not a good pen. So the circumstances are the facts in the world, okay, that we can all agree on in a court of law. Circumstance. Lisa is an artist. Her thought is, I need more moments. More moments, more time. But we're going to use her actual words. I need more moments. Okay. So when you think the thought, I need more moments, what I want you to sit with this for a second. And if anybody else has the same thought, you don't have enough time to do all the things you want to do, just sit with it and tell me about what you're feeling in your body and what emotion, like 1 or 2 word emotion, comes up for you.
A little bit of frustration, anxiety, kind of
Okay.
like I know I need to call myself out on it because it may not be true.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Um, yeah. So it may not be true. Is that it? Is that an emotion? Like, what emotion would that be? It's kind of like mm, maybe confusion, or what do you call it? Like incredulous, or not trust, distrust of yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
That's an emotion. Distrust, self-distrust.
yeah. Or like, okay, well, it's something along the lines of if you were really committed to your art career, you would find the time. You
Okay.
okay, so it's kind of like I don't know what that is.
Well, that sounds like a little bit of
Shame?
shaming, right?
Shame. Yeah.
Self-shaming, right? Shame.
Mhm.
Now it's interesting. This is sort of a logical progression, right? Circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. But what happens is we put one thought down and there, I'm going to get to the bottom of this thought. And then we think, what emotion does that thought give me? And it gives me all these emotions, right? There's all these, and then it leads me back to the thoughts. Oh, I have so many more thoughts, like I should be doing this or I should be doing that, right? So this can be very much a loop between the thought and feeling. So when you have a thought and you have an emotion, it sends you back to a thought. And this is where we get spinning and stuck. And so this process of kind of parsing it out and actually writing down TF, and then I'll go further, it helps us really understand what is happening among that jungle of 60,000 thoughts in our head a day, right? Because how many times a day do you think you think this thought? Something like it.
God, 30.
So
It's
a lot, or it feels like a lot, right?
yeah.
Like every time we're going on to something like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I have to schedule. Like it's there all the time. It's a lot.
Mhm.
And so, of course, each time maybe you think it, you're going to come up with a different emotion. So it's not a
Mhm.
one-on-one, one-to-one relationship, but it creates, it's a seed that creates a flower that has many other emotions that kind of sprout from it.
Mhm.
And that's perfectly fine because this is how the human brain works. Okay, then when you feel, so let's go to the end. When you feel, when you think the thought, I need more moments, and you feel frustration, anxiety, you distrust that you even think that, you know that may be wrong, then you're shaming yourself for it. In that moment, those 30 times a day, what actions, we know that our emotions drive all our actions. So what actions are you taking or not taking?
I take pretty much any action that has nothing to do with art because
Okay, you're not alone. You avoid an
avoid.
action, right? It's
I,
sort of
I,
non-action.
I
Hmm.
avoid because then the thought I need more moments leads to all the things I should, I think I should be doing. And then I'm off and running.
Yeah, like the laundry or, like
Or
cleaning or
getting back to somebody about something that has nothing to do with art because
mhm.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
One thing
Yeah.
I just created a class in Metaphor Mindset Studio called Embrace Imposter Syndrome. And this is me being the information rabbit hole person. I made 10 modules. I went down every rabbit hole. I went back to the beginning of what even that original study was. These two psychologists, women, studied only about 30 other women and created this concept of imposter syndrome. This was from the 70s, late 70s, I think. And I go into the history of it and what it is and all of that. But one of the things that comes up in it is the 4 Ps that another psychologist made that comes from imposter syndrome, procrastination, project paralysis, people pleasing, and what's the last one? Perfectionism,
Oh God.
right?
I have all those. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I know. Anyway, it's like, so it was really interesting to sort of take all that apart. If you haven't watched that yet, go in there and watch it. It I had fun making it. And there's also some other I did this little spreadsheet with Andy Warhol and how like he was an imposter his whole life, right? He felt like he was an imposter and he was an imposter because he was always inventing himself. Think of him or Madonna, right? Or all these people who reinvent themselves like every 10 minutes. And so the challenge there is to embrace that. Embrace whatever part of you that you want to be at that time. Anyway, so that procrastination and avoidance and project paralysis is part of this whole cycle. Okay, so then your result is always connected to this thought. The result is you don't have enough time. You don't do the things that you want to do in the time that you have. Okay, so what if we had, and we think about what can we change in this, right? Once your body feels an emotion, have you ever noticed that? It's really hard to stop it. It's like the horse is out of the barn. It takes me 36 hours to get over shame and anger. Literally. I've noticed like my chemicals are going and going, and I just have to like isolate myself and be in that space and let it go. And that's why we do our brains want to keep us safe, right? Our
Mhm.
brains want to keep us in the cave. So when you have that feeling, you can't do a whole lot about it. You're in the cave. Okay, so the only part we can really do anything about is this part, the thought, or at least we can work on it.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying change every thought that you've ever had in your life, Lisa, because that's kind of hard, right? We have grooves, and these grooves are deep. But how could you tweak that thought just a little bit to think, to have a different emotion? In other words, what emotion do you want to feel when you, as an artist, that you feel like will give you different actions and different results? So talk to me about the emotions first.
Mhm. Um, I want to feel I'm coming up with words that aren't feelings, but I want to feel free, freedom, spontaneous. I want to feel joy. I want to feel inspired. I want to feel um,
Those are emotions. This is
okay.
really interesting. When I started doing this work, I was like, what is an emotion? I have no idea. I grew up in a family where we didn't talk about our emotions. I didn't think I was emotional. I thought it was very logical. And then I look back on my life and I was like, oh my gosh, every single thing I've ever done in my life has been driven by emotion. Getting married, getting divorced, going to school, becoming an artist, not becoming an artist, all everything. And I just had no connection to my artist or to my emotions. I just didn't know how to deal with that. So once I
Mhm,
learned this tool, it helped me a lot. So yes,
mhm,
joy, inspired, those are all emotions that we want to feel as artists.
mm.
So if you felt joy and inspired, this is an interesting part. What actions would you take? You, Lisa, specifically.
Um, if if none of that other stuff was there, I would just walk right to my studio and
When?
start
When
painting.
would you do that?
I would do it whenever it struck me,
Whenever you were willing and, whenever you wanted to.
every time. Like
Okay, every time.
every time.
Or 90% of the times, or even 80% of the time. So
Yeah.
what's the percentage right now that you're walking to your studio when you want?
5% of the time.
Okay, so there's a gap there.
Huge.
But if you could just narrow that gap just by like 10%, you could triple the amount of time you're going into the studio right now. So it's really not that much.
Yeah.
And so what
Yeah.
we think is the all or nothing thinking. Thank you for whoever put that. We think, oh my God, I never work. I have no time. I'm da 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 da, right? But really, if you just changed it just a little bit,
Hmm.
it would probably make a vast difference.
Hmm.
And the main thing that has to change is not actually your actions at all. It's how you're thinking about your actions that you're already doing. So, if you, so what would be our tweaked thought? Just slightly, like, I need more moments. How could you tweak that a little bit that you can still believe? I want you to be able to believe
Right.
this thought right now.
Right. I, and this is true. Okay. I have time every day to paint.
I have time every day.
If I analyze it and look at the truth of it.
Hmm. Okay. Same circumstance. You're an artist. I have time every day to paint. When you
And then,
think that thought, go
mhm.
ahead. What were you going to
It may
say?
not be, it may not be very long because so I have some ideas that say I should be, oh, okay, here's where we are.
Okay.
I keep thinking that I need a 6 hour span of time to paint. That's what keeps holding me back from going in there at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you know, maybe that's not true.
Yeah. Anybody else have that same thing? Like, I need long stretches of time. Me too. Because we want to be able to have our mind completely open and completely ready and just be in the right space in it. Sometimes we have to sweep the studio or get things cleaned up or, do whatever to get in that headspace. So, how we're thinking about it, I need 6 hours or I need long stretches of time. If you can just practice that I have time every day to paint, that might, you know, help bridge the gap.
Uh-huh.
It's not perfection. It's
Right.
not you living in Italy in a villa with servants making all your meals or a lover, Italian lover,
Yeah,
making all your meals and bringing everything to you. But if you wanted that, Lisa, you could have that. You would just have
maybe.
to figure out how to do it, right? And right
Right.
now you're living on an island where you've
Yeah.
made choices and you live in this gorgeous place, right? So like it's interesting how close you are to that reality.
I just have to train the Italian guy in my life to cook.
He's even Italian. Anyway, so just this is what I'm talking about, like just the practicing of and the writing it down on the stickies and the, you know, retraining those grooves in our brain just a little bit to think, I have, wow, I have time every day to paint. It may be 30 minutes, it may be an hour.
That's what I was just gonna say. I mean, maybe it's okay if I just paint for half an hour. I don't know what my work, I don't even know what that would be like. So I could try it.
You can practice it, try it. I mean, and
Right.
this is the thing, it's like, try, fail, learn, try, fail, learn.
Mhm.
And my latest favorite mantra is, and I think I said this to you, Lisa, success can feel like failure the whole time until you stop and look back and see how far you've come.
Mhm.
And that just blows my mind because every day feels like a struggle. And then I'm like, wait a second. When I look back, I've done this. That's why it's so important. And this is what we do in, understanding your value and knowing yourself. And at the end, making offers and making impact, creating some goals, doing an evaluation quarterly or annually where you actually sit back and look at your old journals and see how far you've come. Because you realize like these little tweaks to your thoughts are going to make a huge impact over time. Okay. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
That was,
Shannon.
I hope that was helpful. And
Super helpful. Thank you.
okay, good, good, good. Okay, Wendy. So we have time for one more. And then at the end, I'll sort of give you a little wrap up and then we'll move on from here. I do want to honor time, but we are going to go over the hour a little bit. So feel free to, if you have to move on, but I'm happy you're here. So Wendy. I'd love to coach everybody.
Lisa's question or situation was pretty much mine. I was going
This
to
is
say,
the ironic thing. It's all the same for all of us. That's why
yeah,
the group coaching thing works because you just see it tweaked in somebody else's head just a little bit.
right,
Yeah.
right. And like, it's good to see that, other people have the same thing. And Lisa, I think of you as a very successful artist. So I think, wow, I had no idea that you had any issues, because to me you just seem to create these beautiful works all the time. So I think that we have these illusions about people, um
And ourselves.
and ourselves,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a lot from that, thank you. And one of the things I just wrote down was, when you said I have time every day to paint, I wrote, I have time every day to create, to do my business, to write, to be a professional gemologist. And I wrote, practice spending time in my cool space. That was another thing I wanted to make the atmosphere of where I work feel really like I just want to be there, like it's the coolest.
Can I stop you
And
there, Wendy, just a second? These are my, if you can see up here. So Metaphor Mindset Studio has the 5 steps. It has the 3 main areas: awareness, alignment, and accountability. And then it has 3 strategies. And the 3 strategies are, just like you said, create an atmosphere, whether that's in your business, your home, your studio, and your brain. Then make decisions and try things like you made a decision, Lisa, to practice that thought. And making decisions releases power into the world. Right. You either fail, you learn, something happens. It's like do something, right? And
yeah,
then walk the path. And walking the path is just like what your process is, and just keep going instead of worrying about the path you came from. Okay,
Yeah.
go on,
and
Wendy. When you said create an atmosphere, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no. Well, and I thought I had, but every time I go, I have a very small space and I have to clean it off to get to the work, so it's like making that a priority to keep that area clean so I
Yeah.
can just go there easily. Um, and also to practice spending time in my cool space every day, 15 minutes. Like, instead of feeling like I have to have these blocks of time, which is how I feel too. I feel like I'm going to need 2 hours for this, whatever. It's like, because often once I sit down and get going, I don't want to stop. And so if I can just sit down for 15 minutes, dedicate 15 minutes, I have a feeling it'll turn into longer. So that was
Yes.
really helpful for me. And I just wanted to say one other thing that you said earlier really clarified something for me as well. When you said, "What is my value? What do I offer?" I always have thought of the physical things I'm offering. And when you said it this time, I saw it differently or heard it differently. And I thought, I offer solutions, for when I offer assessments on people's jewelry or fix people's jewelry. Um, when I'm writing, I offer inspiration. I offer a new perspective. When I create jewelry, I am creating beauty, And so I thought of it in a different way than I ever have. And so it made me realize it's not just a thing I'm offering, it's a feeling or a, a solution to somebody's problem or something like that. And that
Yeah.
made me think differently about that. So I just wanted to say that as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Wendy. And
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to address now, or,
For
as far
me,
as a coaching question, or, anything you want to get coached on, or
um,
was it really like the same as Lisa? Pretty
it was
much.
the same as Lisa's, yeah. So that's been my biggest stumbling block lately. So I
Mm-hmm.
really got a lot of clarity on that. So no,
Right.
I'm feeling
Good.
good in the moment.
Okay, good. Well, and this is so true because some of us have full-time jobs, or even if you're retired and you don't have a job, there's always things that come up. The house remodel, right?
Yeah.
The children, the grandchildren, everyone's pulling. And there's like, they don't get us. There's a thought, right? They don't get us. So we don't feel seen. And so we have to work on those thoughts and say, okay, what would it look like if I saw myself? What would it look like if I got myself and I then helped others understand that this is part of my life? And if they want the best of me, then I need to stick to my schedule or be willing to, move things around, or I may disappear for an hour because I have to go work in my studio and just be okay with that. So however that works for you. But I think that that's being able to see yourself and get yourself and understand your own value and sell yourself on yourself is huge. Okay. So now the last part, I just wanted to go over for some people who are here and also others who will get the replay of how to get into Art Business Circle and how to access some of these things that I've been talking about today. So I'm going to share my screen really fast. Okay, so now if you are or aren't a member of my program, it doesn't matter. I'm showing this to everyone. This is how it works. Okay, so if you came on and you're a coaching client, I just want to let you know that I'm actually kind of shifting how I'm offering coaching. Before, I kind of had a 3-month, 6-session offer, and then I had that same session plus build your website. Now I'm kind of moving towards mostly selling a 6-month coaching package. And that's $2,400, just so you can tell your friends. So it's every other week, like the six sessions was every other week. But the 6 months, I really feel like what happens is people get to a certain point and they're just ready to kind of move on, like, oh, now my website, I'm really going to work on this, or now I'm going to do the newsletter. But how do I do that? And then they don't have the support they need. So between 6-month coaching package, which I'm offering now, and if you are not on this call and you want to know where that is, that's shannonborg.com/join. Tells you more about it, and you can join it right there. Or if you're already a member and you're going to be working on, getting into the Metaphor Mindset Studio and Art Business Circle, I'll show you how that works here. So my website, and then of course, once you join, you get your login, and either you create an account the first time, or you sign in here. Some of you have done this already. And then you get your dashboard here. Now, these are all mine because I have separate classes that I've kind of called out separately, but they're all also in Metaphor Mindset Studio. And so this is your member portal, and it has the 6 parts. There's a little welcome video, book your calls, the workbook, which now is 72 pages long. It's all of the worksheets and the word of the year and the Enneagram and all that kind of fun stuff. And I pulled out all the PDFs and put them in one workbook so you can print the whole thing out, or you can just get them as you move along through the modules. Then, of course, the process, the 5 steps, then Art Business Circle, and then Thought Salon. And that's where we are today and doing these group coaching calls. So this is the process. Here's here's the Embrace Imposter Syndrome class, among other things. And you click in, and then you can go in and watch each module. It's like Netflix for artists, right? Kind of fun. I hope that it is helpful to you. So Art Business Circle. So if you're a member, then you click into here, and you then have to sort of sign up with the same email and password. You don't have to put I fixed it so you don't have to put your credit card info in or put a code in, and it just goes straight here. But you would have to enter your email address just so you can enter it, because it's a separate platform. But I've tried to make it as seamless as possible. This is like our Facebook group sorry, I made that too big. Our Facebook group without Facebook. So right now we have 7 members, and it's where you can share your art. Wendy's put her latest blog posts on here, which is really great. So we all know about her fabulous blog about the history of jewelry. I'm going to start posting my blog posts on there too. It's kind of fun. But you can post your art. You can get comments if you want on your art, or just post it just to show people what you're doing. You can, post a link to your newest newsletter, or have people sign up for your newsletter. And then these are the kind of the 3 sections. So you can put your new awarenesses and your insights. One of our newest members is Anne, and she lives in Ireland. So it's really cool. We're starting to use these areas. Alignment is about how do I set up my tech on how to sell something online, all of those, the 4 hats operator stuff, or just anything about, questions and comments there. I will help you how I can. Then accountability, to be able to put your goals online and, get other people to know what they are. Sometimes that's really helpful. I'm going to send out 3 letters to galleries, or identify a list of 5 galleries I want to have consider my work. Those kinds of things are really great to share with others. And then the intros, of course, just introducing yourself, and telling about yourself, putting your photo up and your profile. It's very simple. And then under the start here, I have there's a video that kind of walks through. It's pretty long. It's 15 minutes long, but it kind of walks through the whole program, the whole, Art Business Circle, and how it can help you kind of go down to the next phase of what you're trying to do. And then announcements is just where I will always announce these events, the group coaching, the Thought Salons in here, my new classes that I put up. And then under events, there's upcoming or today it was the past events. And then these are like other things that I've put up here from the past. So that's the community. And also there's content, but most of the content is in the 5-step process here. Okay, so I'm going to stop that and just please unmute yourself if you'd like to say anything or just have any questions or comments about today or any thoughts. Wendy.
I just want to say I love being a member of the ABC community. And even though it's in its early stages, it helps me with feeling that I'm part of a community, an artist community or an artistic community, and it helps me with accountability. I love my one-on-ones with Shannon every month. They've made a huge difference for me. I think I've done 4 so far, I think maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a big difference in what I'm doing. So I highly recommend it. And I'm excited for it to grow and grow. I think it's really cool.
Well, Wendy had this great quote. It was like, treat it like it's going to grow, right? Treat your business like it's going to grow. Treat your art like it's going to grow. So we're treating this community like it's going to grow, even though it's small. So, and also, you know, for people who have gone through my program, I offer ongoing kind of once a month coaching as an option as well, if, you know, if they've done things. So Wendy's a client from long past, but then she started doing the once a month option. So, thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate that. Any other thoughts?
The 6-month package includes Art Business Circle. That's the vehicle. That's the group. Like,
yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then
Yeah,
do you
and
so
also, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
You renew, and the option is to go once a month, but you can stay in Art Business Circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. That's sort of a lifetime thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's Metaphor Mindset Studio for the 6 months. And in that is the option of me really working on your website too. So I build Squarespace websites. And so in there, over 6 months, we could do a lot of different things. If you didn't need that, you don't, you know, that's not something you necessarily need. But if you do, then I help get the foundation and everything built on the website, then train you how to do it. And then there's a class also, Build Your Art website, that you can look at. So you can like, oh, this is how you add an image, and stay up to date and go watch those videos whenever you need to do something like create a new gallery or create a new newsletter or whatever. And then we can go, okay, now it's time to do your newsletter. Now it's time to do your email list. How do I segment people out from collectors to say just like gatekeepers, like gallery owners, or, you know, people I want to send emails to, right? So that kind of stuff. Squarespace does have all that capability, or creating classes online, creating, you know, a freebie so people will sign up for your newsletter, you know, to sort of hear about your latest shows or whatever. So there's so much that we can do that's thought work, but also practical things, and building the website, newsletter, deciding, you know, I'll read your email, your letter to the galleries, or, you know, your artist statement for your next experience or your blog post or whatever. So there's a lot of specific things we can do as well. Anyway, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, for that. Okay, thanks Lauren for staying. I know we only went 10 minutes over. But thanks for your attention and your time. I will just stay on until everyone, you know, for a few more minutes, just to say thank you. And actually, since I have 2 San Juan Island people here, and then I have Layla. Layla, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? You've been quiet.
Yeah, that's one of my things. I'm very quiet.
That's okay. It's a value. It's your value. Right? You observe.
Yes. But I really enjoyed, I mean, I had a similar thing to what both the other ladies were talking about, and I get sort of paralyzed and overwhelmed, so I totally relate. And I did have a question. Did you say that you can join the circle thing without doing the 6-month program? Or do you have to do the 6
Well,
month?
yeah, you become a client first,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, if you go on with one-on-one coaching, you'll stay a member of Art Business Circle. So yeah, Art Business Circle is a part of the whole of the program.
Okay.
So it's
Got it.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I know, and it's been a real journey in building that. It's on a platform called Member Up, which is a small company owned by Amy Sangster. She's a financial coach and kind of a financial guru, really interesting person, young woman who lives in LA. And she and her cohort, she and 2 other friends built this platform. So I felt like she'd built it for creatives. It's like you can kind of design it and it's easy to get around. And so I did a lot of research and I found that this was the one that I ended up loving. So
Cool. Sounds good.
yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let me just make sure that I've covered everything really quick. Yes, I can't believe it, but I think I have. And I guess I want to leave you with one thing that when I was talking about the thoughts, I want to sort of offer that a belief and the way we believe about ourselves and about our art, a belief is just a thought that you think over and over.
Mhm.
So that was really kind of transformative to me because I started to think about, what do I believe about myself? Believe that, about art, believe about myself, about art, about my clients or collectors or potential whatever I'm going to do with it. So that idea of creating beliefs through all the thoughts that you think over and over is so important. And I made this list of 9 thoughts that I want to think and that I'm going to practice. And I'm just going to read them to you. I could send you this if you would like. Maybe I'll send it as a follow-up to the whole group. Art changes lives. Art has changed my life. That's a belief. I believe there's enough art in my life right now to change lives. I feel compelled by art, so I can create compelling art.
Mm.
I create an atmosphere of value for myself. I believe that showing up for my art and myself brings others. I create more opportunities to engage with art for myself and others. I think of you, Lisa, with putting all those paintings in the Airbnb, right? That's an opportunity for people to engage with your art. It's just one more thing, one more opportunity. I practice, operate, and create art from the thought, I am in demand.
Mm.
Sometimes that takes a little more practice, but it's a good one. I actively increase my ability to show up for myself and others. And I'm constantly working on my art self-concept. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your time and all of your input, and I hope to see you all soon.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you so
So
much.
wonderful. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.